Hello and welcome to the eCommerce MasterPlan Virtual Summit, packed with the tips and strategies you need to achieve your goals this year and beyond. I'm Chloe Thomas, host and creator of the award-winning eCommerce MasterPlan and the Marketing Focus Keep Optimizing podcasts, and the author of several best-selling books on e-commerce marketing. I'm the host of this summit, which means it's down to me to make sure that it's an event that gives you top quality advice and ideas in every single session. And I've worked with every one of our speakers to get the content spot on. And I'll be with you in every session, making sure that we get the best out of every topic. We are kicking off in utter style. In terms of making sure you get value, this one's an easy one for me because we're starting off with the brilliant Val Geisler. And I've been a fan from a distance, I suppose, of Val for years. And this year I finally plucked up the courage to invite her onto one of my events. And she was on the Keep Optimizing podcast talking email marketing welcome campaigns earlier this year, and she gave so much great advice. It was an absolute no-brainer to invite her to be a part of this summit. So let's get her to join me here on screen. Hello, Val. How are you doing?
Hi, Chloe. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's lovely to be catching up with you again. And I'm super excited for the topic we're covering because it's almost like last time we did welcome campaigns and now we're slightly doing the bit before, but that probably still encompasses welcome campaigns.
Right. How do you get them there to that welcome campaign?
Exactly. Because, I think a lot of people would think that when it comes to customer acquisition, email's not that important. They get all Facebook ad or Google ad obsessed. And but email's got a big role to play, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's the part that people don't think about right up front. It's email is where we talked about on the podcast. It's where you're really building those relationships with your subscribers, and email subscribers become customers. So most people, I mean, unless you have a product recommendation, if you've touched a product and used it, then you might go straight to buying it. But for the most part, the typical customer journey is go to a website, look at an Instagram page, sign up for an email list or a SMS, a text message list, and then get your coupon code or whatever interactions with the brand, and then make a purchase once you have talked to the brand a little bit. Talking meaning hearing what they have to say through email, maybe even interacting with like a chatbot on the site or a Facebook Messenger or something like that. So all of that, email, SMS, all goes together to build relationship. And that's what you ultimately need to turn subscribers into customers.
So how do we get people onto that email list in the first place?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways. I mean, the obvious one that you mentioned is Facebook ads, right? So we can run ads, Facebook, Google, Instagram, all of those places, Pinterest, seems like there's every platform has a way you can run ads on it. So LinkedIn, you can run ads, you can run them anywhere. But that's like the obvious one. But not everyone has the money to spend on ads. And not everyone can. I talk to a lot of brands, all different types of businesses. And there are a lot of businesses that are regulated when it comes to how they run their businesses. So CBD brands, sex toys, things like that, can't run ads. And so it's fascinating because it's like we can learn so much from those brands as to what they're doing to attract audience and to acquire new customers because they can't run ads. So they can't go that traditional route of, well, I'll throw some money at this problem and make it go away. They have to be a little more creative. So a lot of times the thing I hear the most from those brands and from a lot of brands, really, even if they are able to run ads, is word of mouth. So I talked to even a deodorant brand that I talked to recently. She obviously can run ads, but her very first product launch, she emailed everyone in her contacts, all of it, through her Gmail account, sent an email out to all of her friends. Here is what I'm doing. I would love your business. Here's a coupon code. Please go, make a purchase. And then if you like it, the best thing you can do for me, the greatest gift you can give me as a friend, as a family member, is to tell somebody else about it. And that's truly how I asked her how she got the first customer she didn't know,
Hmm.
because everyone's first customer is a friend or a family.
Yeah.
So then it's like when people talk about getting your first subscribers or your first customers, I always think that you don't know, like who was it that spent the money that you were like, wow, I don't know this person, and here I have that cha-ching from Shopify happening. So I think, and she said that those people came in through her friends and family just by telling people what you're doing. I think that we too often feel like everybody already knows what I'm doing. I talk about it all the time. It's in my bio on my social pages. I feel like I talk about it all the time, but the fact of the matter is that nobody's paying attention to you, not even your friends and family, in the way that you are paying
Yeah.
attention to your own life. So you have to make that explicit ask. You have to go and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I'm really excited about it." You make it enticing for them. So I think she gave them like, basically at cost, it was like, 50% off or something, for their first purchase. And then it grew from there. So
Yeah,
that's one way.
it can be so simple, can't it? And I was smiling when you were saying about friends and family not knowing it, because back in the days where we could hang out with people a lot,
Right.
the number of times I hang out with people, they go, "So, you still in banking?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"No, no, not been in banking for almost 20 years now." But,
Yeah.
so even when people make as much noise as I'm sure you do, and as I know I do, people still don't know what you're doing. So
No. No. And
never hurt, and it never hurts to be explicit either and go, "This is what we want you to do."
that's right, because your friends and family can be excited for you. They can like your post. They can, tell you that, oh, that's really cool. I'm proud of you. But unless you're asking them, yeah, the best way you can support me doing this, I appreciate that it's cool and it's exciting and I agree. And I won't be able to keep doing it unless I have support. And the way you can do that is through trying the product and then telling your friends about it. And it's truly that simple. I mean, true friends and family do want to find a way to support you. And if it's a matter of spending a few dollars on a deodorant stick or whatever it is that you're, selling, unless you're selling like private jets, I think that your friends and family are likely to invest a little bit in your product. Word of mouth, it's underrated. It's not scalable. It's very hard to track. And so we
Mhm.
all want to do these things that are like, well, I can point that data to this sale. I can track that. Um, I can talk to people when I'm asleep, through ads and things like that. There's all these scalable ways. Everyone wants to go that route, but truly the things that work the best aren't scalable, like one-to-one, word of mouth, that personal outreach. They're not scalable, they're not trackable, but they're effective.
Well, it's like I know in a session tomorrow on retention, we're going to be talking about the power of putting things in the parcel, and
Yes.
little notes in the parcel. And
Yes.
I suppose as close to scalable as word of mouth gets, I guess, is putting something in a parcel and going, "Give this to a friend,"
Yeah.
which you can try and track, but is probably still not going to get tracked because it'll end up being, "Oh, I've got a voucher. I can't what the voucher is, but the company's called this. You should go there." And the bit of
Yes.
tracking gets lost in the mix. But
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there are those ways to acquire new customers, as within your packaging, things like that. But email is a great way to do it too. I don't see this often enough. I love Book of the Month does this. They send an email that says the subject line is forward this to a friend.
Mhm.
And the whole content of the email is saying like, hey, if you've been enjoying your monthly books, forward this email to a friend, they'll get 50% off of their first book. And then I think you also get like a book credit or something like that. So it's a bit of an affiliate program in a way, but they are explicitly saying, forward this email to a friend right now, go do it. That is a very easy ask. It's low lift. It's like, I know a friend who likes to read. I'm going to forward them this email. That's takes 2 seconds of my life, and I can do it on my phone, I can do it on my computer, I can do it wherever I am.
Yeah, and it's so easy, but yeah, so many businesses don't do it, which I
Yeah,
guess is why we're having this session, isn't it?
that's right.
Um, Now, a lot of the methods we've been talking about, of course, are going to get someone to our website who might not go on to buy. So in 2021, with all the changes that Google are making and the focus on UX and all the rest of it, how aggressive should we be on the site to capture the email of the people who aren't yet ready to spend money with us?
Yeah. So capturing email or phone number for SMS,
Hmm.
depending on where you are and if how widely SMS is available. I think that those efforts should be happening not forcefully but consistently. And I think the miss for most brands is the why. So you can ask all day long for someone's email address, but if you're not giving them a valid reason why they should give it to you,
Hmm.
then they're not going to. You can have a pop-up on every page. You can make those ones that have no X that you can't get away from. And that's just going to frustrate people. So I think, balancing this like ability for people to check out what you are offering, um, and also giving them some kind of incentive to add their email address, add their phone number. That is beyond this kind of standard of get 10% off your next order, because that has become the standard, so it's no longer incredibly compelling. I've seen things like join our private Instagram channel, join our quest.
Val,
Surpassed with.
your audio's ducked out there. I've seen join your Instagram channel, but
Oh
then it
yeah.
it
Okay.
went.
Is that better now? So yeah, there's other things like I saw a food brand do a podcast with a nutritionist that was only for subscribers. You can have all kinds of different ways that people can engage, private Facebook groups, things like that, that add value, that give people a reason to sign up beyond that 10% discount.
There's a brilliant one here in the UK, which is a fishmonger who do fish by post, which boggles my brain logistically
Wow.
anyway. But they have a picture of the fisherman, and then they have these little bubbles of we'll send you fresh fish recipes, we'll send you this, which it's both enticing and there's a humour behind it, but also they've done that thing of most people find cooking with fish quite scary,
Yeah.
so they've kind of taken down the barrier as
Yes.
well. And it's amazing how many key messages you can fit into an email sign up if you try.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you want it to be clear and as simple as possible, but you also want it to be compelling. So yeah, the copy is tricky sometimes to get it right, but you being persistent, I think, is a good thing to be. Being forceful is not. So yeah, just making sure that there are ample opportunities to sign up, that are non-intrusive to the browsing experience, and encouraging people, giving them a reason to want to join your list. All of that leads to a potential customer
Mhm.
versus someone who's going to join your list to get that discount code and then opt out. So that happens too. They'll unsubscribe as soon as they have that discount code, and that doesn't help you build the relationship very much.
Yeah, so true. You've got to get kind of that quality and quantity bit right, and
Yes.
the long term is obviously important too. But so we've talked about the power of word of mouth and how we can use that to help us on our path to the first 1,000 customers. We've talked about getting that email address when they get to the website. How else should we be tackling that first big goal of those first 1,000? How else would you go about doing it, Val?
So word of mouth, yeah, making sure that you have opt-ins available on your site. And I think that the big one is making sure that your subscribers know how to engage other people. So that, forwarding an email to a friend. I'm sure that, I mean, we could spend a whole hour talking about affiliates, and I'm sure that you will later on in this summit, but definitely that's a route to look at too, is, how do we engage affiliates and influencers out in the world to bring people into your email list. I think one thing that's really important is making it just as simple as possible for people to engage with your brand. And that's knowing who they are and where they engage with your brand the most. So I've seen some really cool websites lately that have, on Instagram, how there's the stories bubbles at the top, and now it's every platform has stories bubbles in
Yeah.
one way or another. I've seen websites where on mobile, the menu, it actually looks like story bubbles. So
Oh,
instead of it being like that hamburger button and a drop down, the menu is this swipeable story bubbles. And so that it's behavior that your customers already know and already do, and engage with your brand that way. So I think it's like, make it as simple as possible. So on mobile, the website looks like that. On desktop, it doesn't. So it's those kinds of things that really drive customers to feel connected to your brand and to want to engage.
and you mentioned, the world of affiliates and the world of influencers, and yes, we should be covering that later on today in a lot more detail. One of the
Okay.
elements which I think is particularly, actually, it's powerful at every stage of the e-commerce journey, and I'm surprised more people don't do it, is partnering with other retailers or brands who are targeting the same audience. And I find it mad that people don't do this, because
Yeah.
I think back in the early 20s, shortly after I left the world of banking, I worked for a UK retailer, and we would partner with, you know, proper old world magazines, and we give them a prize, and then we get the email data from all the competition entries. It was a partnership. It cost us the price of a product, and it was a great way of growing things. But it, some people are doing it, but sorry, you can tell I'm a bit frustrated
Yeah.
by lack of
Part
take up on this, and I can see you're smiling as well. So,
Yeah,
what's your take?
partnering and co-branding is huge. So if there's something that you can do together with another brand, and it doesn't always have to be like donating a product to a giveaway. It can be creating something that's super high value for your customers. Maybe it's a summit just like this one, that you're a health food brand and you partner with a fitness brand, and you put together a 1 day summit with a bunch of different speakers and brought to you by these brands. Everyone who signs up for the summit is also signing up for the email list for those brands. Doing it in a way that's very clear that that's what's happening, but creating value. I've seen joint recipe books and things like that come out too between brands. You could do, I was talking to a brand that makes pajamas for babies. And they were talking about, being able to do something co-branded with, someone for like flowers for mom, or, being able to have something that is for both people. The mom is obvious, the baby's not making the purchase. So your customer is actually the parent. And so what is something that they would want that you can work with other brands? So these partnerships and co-branding opportunities are huge for bringing new subscribers into your world. Even appearing on podcasts, going and out. Again, it's not
Mhm.
scalable, but it's something that you can do to bring another audience into your world. When you go on a podcast, having a specialized link that they can use to sign up for your email list, and maybe they have a special incentive just for those podcast listeners. And that way, oh, that did work. They came from the podcast. I understand where all these subscribers are coming from. And especially something like a podcast lives forever. So, it kind of is a constant drip of new subscribers every time somebody listens. So yeah, those partnerships and working relationships with other brands and other platforms you're right. It's something that's really missed. And I don't know why people are afraid of it. I have talked to brands who go to each other's pop-ups. So they'll do like a retail pop-up, and one there's a makeup company and they go to the pop-up for a clothing store and they give in-person quick 5-minute makeovers, makeup sessions. So, things like that, where you can do things in person too, when that's available.
When we're allowed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a creative space. And I guess that's one of the reasons why I find it so strange is like a lot of people starting their own brands are super creative,
Yeah.
but then they get so kind of tunnel visioned into, yeah, we must run Facebook ads and Google ads.
Right.
And
Yeah.
we must set up a welcome campaign, but we'll forget everything else. And it's like, work with other brands because you're all wanting to help each other. And these days, like when I started, the ability to speak to other retailers was really, really hard. Now you can join a Facebook group and there
And
they
talk
all
to
are.
everyone, right? Yeah, there's all kinds of communities of other brands, and looking for those opportunities. And I think cautioning just to say, don't go into those groups and say, "Hey, who wants to do a co-branded opportunity
Mhm.
together?" But finding particular brands, building relationships with them first, just like we are doing with our subscribers, and then asking, "Hey, would you like to do this together?" And we can figure out something that works for both of us.
Wow. Well, Val, we have shared a lot of good information there, so I think the grilling's complete.
Good.
Which means, thank you very much for all of that. But if someone is interested in Klaviyo and wants to
Yeah.
find out more or connect with you, what's the best thing for them to do?
Yeah. So there's a link right here on the screen. Klaviyo.com/masterplan is the best place to head. You can find out about everything we're doing. We have all kinds of events too. So you'll see opportunities to sign up for those. We have an event called Live from Your Laptop that happens regularly, where expert brands share, long experience brands share what they're doing, their best practices, and give you a behind the scenes of what they're doing on their laptops. So it's a great way to experience a little bit of what is possible for you through another brand.
Well, look, Val, thank you so much for being part of the summit. It
Thanks for
has been
having me.
great catching up with you again, and thanks very much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love seeing you.
Phew. Well, thanks to Val for joining us there and providing so much advice on how to get things going, how to get those customers starting to buy from us on our e-commerce space. And a huge thank you as well to Klaviyo for being one of our sponsors, because it's because they're sponsoring that we're able to enable all of you to access this great content totally and utterly for free. Now, if you've enjoyed the session, please do share on social media. The buttons are right in front of you, or invite your team to watch later. If there's something which you're thinking, yes, they need to hear this, well, the replays are available for every single session in this event, so feel free to share them with your colleagues. On the right of the page this video is on, you will also find the link to Klaviyo if you want to go and check them out. We're also producing an ebook of the summit that will be available by Thursday, and we'll be emailing it out to you. That includes my team's notes on each and every session, with screen grabs of key slides, any resources or offers mentioned, and my recommendations on where to go to learn more. So if you're watching on replay, I should say, it could well be available right now, in which case you'll be able to download it on the page you're on. Right. If you enjoyed this session, make sure you tune in tomorrow, when we will have several sessions exploring ways in which you can make more of your email marketing. And check out our session with Lucy Bloomfield later on today, when we'll be getting deeper into influencers and partnerships. Stay tuned, because up next we have Becky Hopkin from Digital Gearbox, who's focusing on Google shopping campaigns. Now, to find that, head to Agenda, click on the session, and it will be starting at past. And don't forget to join our live Q&A panel at the end of today's content. Right, I shall see you in the next session.
You have a product you're passionate about, and now's the time to grow your online sales. Klaviyo can help. Klaviyo is the ultimate marketing platform for growing online sales. Build higher value customer relationships using email automation, SMS marketing, and list growth tools. Turn your dream into a reality with a free Klaviyo account.